Hi everybody, I'm just sharing first in this video a feature shown on UK Column News today. This is the Office of National Statistics, so it isn't fake news, okay? Just because it's not being shared on the BBC does not denigrate from the factuality of what is being shown here. So, look, this is the Office of National Statistics. So they receive all the data on what is going on as far as this COVID stuff and health and mortality rates in Britain. So the key to this graph is here, isn't it? So the line with the circle in it is the excess deaths from the Office of National Statistics. Okay, this line here is COVID deaths. Maybe it has to say maybe, because we know that a lot of the deaths aren't actually COVID. It's just that the patient was suspected of being infected with a coronavirus when they died, so they died with a coronavirus rather than from COVID-19, and also a lot of the tests are actually false positive because they're not testing specifically for COVID-19. This is a fact, you know, the tests are around, on average, 90% false positives, in the sense that people testing positive are actually just carrying or have fought off or are fighting off a common cold. So, you know, the tests, throw them out of the window. These cases, people testing positive being referred to as a case, well, I'm sorry, you're not a case of any illness unless you have the symptoms of that illness and you are actually ill with it. Okay? You can't be considered a case if you have no symptoms. So this here is the average. So this is an average from 2015 to 2019. So this is the average deaths in Britain. Okay, and as UK Column explains, these dips here are around bank holidays and stuff where they don't actually collect the data. Okay. So all these people in this red section here, going up to the top of this line, were all died as the result of lockdown. And I know we've lost 2 family members and a friend, and, well, actually also an acquaintance through a friend of other friends, a close friend of other friends. So that's 4 people that I know of in my direct circle of family and friends who have died in the lockdown, not of COVID-19. They've died, 2 of them through lack of health care, and 1 of them through suicide. Okay? So, you know, that's a scandal. That's a scandal. Don't know one single person, I do not know of one single person that has died from COVID-19. Among all of my friends and family, extended friends and family, I don't know of one single person that has died of COVID-19. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, COVID-19 hasn't killed anybody. Flu, all strains of coronavirus, the worst symptoms of them, kill people every single year. That is a fact, and some years up to 50,000 plus. That's a fact. We've never shut the country down because of it. So the people of Manchester, the people of Sheffield, the people of Liverpool, you get yourself together and you sue your local council, you sue your mayors for obeying propaganda that is murdering people, that is denying people healthcare, robbing people of their rights, robbing people of their incomes, whether it be through running their own business or doing a job of work, putting people under immense stress and strain that thereby lowers immunity and leaves them susceptible to all kinds of illnesses, including COVID-19, and also cancer and heart attacks and strokes, and simultaneously denying everybody health care, including cancer patients, heart patients, stroke patients, you name it, all denied health care. This madness needs to end now. We, the people, need to end it, because it is time for the truth to take precedence over a pack of lies and a criminal gangster mob that it's set itself at number 10. And again, on what we strongly suspect are rigged, is a rigged general election postal vote. And I tell you now, Boris Johnson and co, okay, we have more than enough evidence here to actually bring our case to court, and it is going to the Supreme Court. Regardless of how many people signed this petition, it is going to the Supreme Court. Because actually, there's more evidence here to support our lawful suspicion of a rigged postal vote than there was of the evidence that took this country to war in Iraq. That is the fact of it. And the truth shall reign, okay, when it comes to what is going on in this country and in this world right now. So people of Manchester, look. People of Sheffield, why are you being shut down? Why are you being shut down? On the strength of cases that are 90% false positive. On the strength of an illness that is not a high consequence infectious disease. Why? Why are you being locked down? Why is everybody under house arrest? This is a scam. It's not just a plandemic, it's a scamdemic. And it is outrageous. And we the people, I'm sorry, somebody somewhere has to speak sense and sanity. Sue the pants off these lying, thieving, criminal mobsters. Now, I am going to show you what is being going on in this world, okay? It is time for people to wake up all over this planet, and especially in Britain and America, because these two nations are key in controlling every other nation. And everything, my worst suspicions, are confirmed. And they're not just my worst suspicions. A lot of people have been aware of what is going on behind the scenes. Now, I'm going to play you this one extract. And I will tell you now what this man says is common throughout the world. This is what has been governing world politics since 9/11 and before. And I will leave you my articles for WordPress which explain exactly that, except, oh, then I was a wild conspiracy theorist. Except, no, I am not a wild conspiracy theorist. I am somebody who does my research and has a valid and accurate perspective on what is going on. So listen to this man. This is Jose Bustani, the former head of the Organisation for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. He reveals new details of how he was targeted for the lead up to the Iraq war, when the Bush administration engineered his ouster for impeding his plans to invade. So just listen to this.
Public knowledge now, and you've talked about the fact that John Bolton was the U.S. official who drove the effort to oust you and even personally threatened you. What did John Bolton say to you?
When I raised the question of Iraq and Libya becoming members of the organization, I received a request from Mr. Bolton to come to The Hague to have a word with me, and it was a very unfortunate experience. He came to my office, and he stayed there for 15 minutes or more, and said, I'm here to tell you that you have 24 hours to resign. This is what the instruction I got from Vice President Cheney, and this is it. And I said, well, I don't see any reason for me to resign. My record is impeccable from my point of view and from the point of view of most delegations, and I don't see why I should resign. And he said, well, this is your call. You know where your kids, we know where your kids are, so you have to think serious about that. Which I said, I know, my kids know, and I'm prepared to whatever comes. And he left. That was it.
Did you take that as a physical threat against your children?
Well, you can read that sentence in many ways. I read it as a threat. You can interpret it in many ways. My kids lived, two of them, in New York and one in London. So I did not expect him to mention that fact because it wasn't called for. We are discussing my position in the OPCW, not where my family was. So it made me very worried and sad, I must confess. But then again, fortunately, nothing happened, and I was voted out, and the Americans were happy with that. And
so the U.S. first tries to oust you with a vote at the OPCW Executive Council, which just a year prior had voted unanimously to renew your term. They lose this vote. The Executive Council does not go along with the U.S. So then the U.S. tries to bring the vote to all the member states of the OPCW, and they also threaten to cut the OPCW's funding, which is huge because U.S. accounts for a major percentage of the OPCW's budget.
Yeah, that was common on the part of the Americans and other countries to flatten the budget. It's interesting to point out that one of the Western countries that was extremely helpful, has always been extremely helpful in terms of helping me manage the organization, helped me with the budget, in particular with the budget for developing countries, was the UK. Mm. So my relationship with UK delegation was perfect. And I cannot forget the embarrassment of the UK ambassador when he came to me saying that he was under severe instructions to vote against me because our relationship had been extremely productive.
And that's critical.
So there you have it. This is a man who stood against the Iraq war based on the evidence of facts. He knows what he's talking about. John Bolton, Dick Cheney, told him he had to resign. John Bolton goes to convey that message to him and then mentions his children. We know where your children are, so you need to think very seriously about your position. Right, so this is one man out of probably 1,000 that has been brave enough to actually stand by his guns and basically say, look, go away. You know, he has spoken out. How many people have, in high office, have had their families and children threatened? You people need to come out and speak out now, before this madness takes over our planet completely and actually drives humanity and every other species to extinction. Because we are talking about half-wits here. Only half-wits have to resort to this kind of what? You can't call it intelligence, can you? It's crime. It is absolute criminal crime. And John Bolton, for that alone, needs to be on trial. Because is that the way we expect our ministers of high office, people in public office, to be controlling affairs, to be going around threatening people's children? because they're not going a particular way. And whose way is it? Whose way is it that we are going? Now, he mentions the UK. Oh, suddenly the UK has had their arm twisted, who previously it had very good working relationship with. Oh, suddenly, oh, sorry, you know, I've been forced to vote against you. It's coming from the UK. Very embarrassed official having to explain, oh, I'm sorry, we've been forced to vote against you. Was his children threatened as well? Because, you know, look what happened to Dr. David Kelly. If I can find... UK murder cover-up of Dr. David Kelly. Damning new evidence came out last year that he did not take his own life. He was murdered because he knew. And, you know, again, my WordPress documents, I'll leave you intel for Brexit. Have a look at that. Dr. David Kelly was murdered because he spoke out, because he knew for sure that Iraq did not hold weapons of mass destruction. And he spoke out against the war. But the world wanted war, didn't we? Apparently. But not we the people, is it? Not we. When we talk about Britain and America, we're not talking about we the people, are we? We're talking about the gang of criminals that is currently controlling both of those nations. And all of them puppets. And who are the puppet masters? Well, you know, we know very well who the puppet masters are. Israel. UK is sending its police to train in Israel. Here's why it should bother you. Of course it should bother us. Why are British police going to an actual criminal nation like Israel that is on record for its crimes against humanity, for stealing Palestinians' land, for terrorising and persecuting innocent people on the grounds of their ethnicity, that has reduced what's left of Palestine to a series of ghetto islands controlled by military checkpoints? Now, I made a video yesterday, and I'll leave the link to it under this, and I advise you to watch it. It's a very strongly worded video. I'm talking a lot to the British public, mainly the professional upper, when I say middle class, I'm not talking about, you know, the average person who owns their own home, who considers themselves in the middle class bracket. I'm talking about the real middle class, which really are the upper middle classes, who traditionally have kept their mouths shut, okay, while they eat the cream of society. And as I have explained here, my heart is with all of those relative few who have devoted their time and lives toward challenging this evil in our midst and standing up for our rights. To the apathetic Stockholm Syndrome majority, please make my day and prove there's a better way than this horror show presently unfolding before our eyes. Palestine, UK. Except the military checkpoints will be COVID testing barriers. Never mind losing freedom of movement within the EU, we'll be lucky to have freedom of movement in our own nation. And I've left a series of links here, including the link to the petition. You know, they're all here. Do your own research, people. Turn off the BBC, the criminal BBC, who, again, have actually colluded with fascists and producing fascist propaganda, spouting it out to the British people, scaring people unnecessarily with fake news. Okay? Why isn't the BBC explaining this to the people? Why is it UK column? We need to ask that question. Why are Sheffield and Manchester on lockdowns right now and the mayors being bribed with 22 million? Who are these mayors? What is a mayor? Are they a sheriff now? Is this some kind of new stature that the mayor of Sheffield is there suddenly to pronounce lockdowns? Well, I'm sorry, mayor. You do not have that kind of a power to override people's common law rights. And the people do have a right to sue you for compensation for losses and damages they have sustained by being compelled by you and your what? What do your police force amount to then that are enforcing your lockdown? What do those police amount to? They're not a police force. They're a mercenary mob being paid to enforce criminal actions against the people. They're not a police force upholding the law. They're a police force enforcing crimes. They're a crime syndicate working for a gang of criminals. That is what is going on. And it's going on right to the very, very top, isn't it? And here we have UK Labour leader sacks MP who highlighted Israeli training of US police force. That's Keir Starmer, Zionist lackey. The puppet masters. The puppet masters. I can't find that article now of Cressida Dick. It seems to have disappeared. But, you know, we have the head, Cressida Dick, head of the Metropolitan Police Force, visiting Israel. I'll see if I can find the link on history. If I've accidentally shut it down, I just don't understand how it has disappeared actually, because it was there and suddenly it's just completely. Oh, it's here. Sorry. After receiving damehood, Met Chief Cressida Dick addresses two Jewish groups. What has Jewish groups got to do with Cressida Dick, head of the Metropolitan Police? Has she been speaking to Muslim groups? Has she been speaking to Christian groups? Or what about Hindu or Sikh groups? Why is this woman controlled by Jewish groups? I tell you now, we are dealing with a fascist coup. It is being controlled by Zionists, whether they're Jewish or not, because everybody needs to lose this idea that all Jews are Zionists, or that, you know, being a Zionist means that one has to be a Jew. There are Christian Zionists, there are Muslim Zionists, there are atheist Zionists. Zionism itself is actually a racist, fascist philosophy. That's the fact of it, right? There's no getting away from it. There's, according to Zionists, there's Zionist Jews, because let's face it, any Jews that don't support Zionism, the Jews that stand with people like Jeremy Corbyn or Bernie Sanders, oh, well, you know, they're self-hating Jews. They're traitor Jews. Those Jews just happen to form the majority. Because, oh, before you all go around, you know, hating your Jewish neighbours, please get a grip on reality. We're talking about a crime syndicate here, and Zionism is the badge that they're all wearing, promoting this racial and ethnic and religious superiority. And Britain has become the latest Zionist colonial outpost. Exactly what America has become, to the extent that, you know, decent, honest, hard-working people like this man working for his country, standing against an illegal invasion of Iraq. His children are being threatened by heads of state. That John Bolton basically is turned into what? A thug. A gangmaster. A thug gangmaster going around threatening his children. And we know, as has been explained here in Intel for Brexit, in one of my documents, which I will just get that document up for you now. Intel for Brexit. As you can see, all the articles that I've written are all here, my recent posts. So, Intel for Investigation Brexit. I go into the murder of Dr. David Kelly and also what happened to Catherine Gunn, who worked for British intelligence, and she leaked. Here it is, 15 years later, how UK whistleblower Catherine Gunn risked everything to leak damning Iraq war memo, which British intelligence had received from America, instructions to help America find dirt on UN officials in order to blackmail them and coerce them into endorsing what we know was an illegal invasion of Iraq. And all on the strength of 9/11, which we know was an orchestrated event, and has got Zionist Israeli fingerprints all over it. We've got Epstein, that is covered in this article as well, who was a known. By now, we know that Epstein was working directly for Mossad, who was using him to entrap high-ranking people around the world, take the photographs, record the evidence, and thereafter those people are then owned by the same criminal cabal that, when it comes to people like him who they can't find any dirt on, well, you know, threaten his children. And then, you know, we look at this criminal mob squatting at number 10 on strength of the lawfully suspected rigged postal vote that gave them an alleged landslide win, and here they are with their evil criminal intelligence sources bill, which again my other video covers. And you know, to people who will say, oh no, you know, it isn't that they're allowed to employ covert agents from anywhere in the world. You know, they've got to use British police. Well, I'm sorry, what kind of British police? That are going training in Israel. And don't forget, the British police force has been corporatised, and corporations are at liberty to bring in their workers from anywhere in the world. Now, a lot of people who were on the demo, in the last huge demo in London at Trafalgar Square, and suddenly the regular police disappeared, and these thug police walked in, actually wearing caps and actually using their helmets as a weapon against the public, who they started beating. Peaceful protesters started beating them with sticks, and people were saying that those police were foreign. Okay, so where did those police come from? Eastern Europe, apparently. Hungary. Was it Hungary? Again, another far-right government taken over in Hungary, again with dodgy elections. Hungarian officials that Boris Johnson was meeting with just before the election. Yeah. People, we are right now living within a coup, and it's going to get really, really bad. And it is going to take every single man, woman, child in this country to get out, literally, bang your pots and pans. Do in Iceland. And we'll take it from there. Sign the petition. Whether you think a petition's going to help or not, at the very least, it's sharing information. Because, you know, I've shared one link here, but within this Ricky Coxon's WordPress article are lots of links. Within my articles, covering the same, sharing a lot of the same evidence. And according to the evidence, like I say, we have more evidence to support our suspicions of a rigged 29 postal vote that gave these criminals their alleged landslide victory than they had, this whole cabal had, to justify going into Iraq. To the extent that they've had to use blackmail and threats and even murder. Even murder. So, you know, what can I say? I'm going to leave you the links here of the stuff that I've shown you here in this video. You get informed and you inform other people. And you wake them up. You don't take, oh no, I don't want to talk about that. Sorry, you're going to talk about it, people. Because otherwise, you are going to be having guns on your doorstep. And you will have no right to stand up for your right. Do you understand that? I will repeat again. Your law and your rights are like muscles. And you fail to use them, you fail to exercise them, and you will grow very, very, very weak. And you will stand by while they drag your family members from your home. Oh, they tested positive for COVID-19. They're going to a quarantine isolation centre. They're going to ramp it up, ramp it up, ramp it up. You give these fuckers an inch, they will take a mile. They are literally like bailiffs who manage to get a boot in the door, bang, your door's banged open, and your house is raided. Except, at least bailiffs might have some legitimate reason for coming asking for money. These people have no legitimate reasons whatsoever to be imposing the kind of criminal restrictions and laws against people and criminal fines and the fear and the stress and the murder and the mass murder of elderly people. I am very, very sorry for every person that has lost somebody to COVID-19 or who believe the medics that told them that their relative died of COVID-19. But far, far more people have lost their lives because of this response to COVID-19. It has been used as a cover to kill people, to shut down our NHS, to pull the rug from underneath our feet, to rob people of businesses and jobs and income. And at the end of it, there'll be millions facing homelessness. All to be criminalised. Again, I shared the evidence for that in my previous video that I've mentioned here. That homelessness, vagrant, you know, it is a criminal offence according to antiquated laws that are still in operation today. If you can't stand by sense and sanity, people of Britain, and as I say, I am talking mainly to the upper echelons of British society, as my other video was actually speaking to, because the people on the ground, nobody ever listens to us, and the majority of us, we are questioning all this crap. It's the people who are in high positions, in the high social positions, that really count. When they start asking questions, that's when people start to listen. Are our doctors going to be threatened? Are their family and children being threatened? Is that what this bill is about here? The fact that they've given the medical health authorities rights to use covert police to spy on and attack. Who? Doctors? Medics? People talking, warning people against the dangers of an experimental gene editing vaccine? Are they going to be getting visits from British officials just like this man? Or is a covert agent going to kidnap their children? I told you that children are not exempted in this bill, and not one member of Parliament bothered to even ask that question about safety of children within such powers? Not one. Not one bothered about the children. And here we have this man telling us that John Bolton threatened his children. I mean, all right, they're adult children, but it doesn't really make any difference, does it? Whether they've been adult or small. I've had to talk to my son about the work that I'm doing, and, you know, he supports me. He says, Mum, you do what you feel that is right. It is outrageous. Now, am I going to dismiss this whole news report as conspiracy theory because it's not coming from the BBC or it's not coming from the government? No, I believe this man. And, you know, thank you to the Grey Zone. They do some excellent news reports. And, you know, like I say, look, you're going to have to get active, people. Playing goody two-shoes is not going to get you anywhere. Okay? There's no appeasing these people. Just by, even if you think you've got some sort of protection by even feigning support for people like Boris Johnson, I'm sorry, they hate us. Okay? This consciousness hates us. We are heathen. That is what they consider us. Well, let me tell you something, people. If you can ignore this level of crime and criminality that is going on, you are heathen. Because that's what heathen is. Ignorance. Okay? Ignorance. That's what makes a heathen. And it's no defence under the law. And you've got no protection of God's law if you're going to live in ignorance. Okay? You will live under the rule of the devil. So it's your choice, people of Britain. Who's it going to be? God's law or Lucifer's?